So you're telling me there's a chance. One of our family's favorite movies is from the 1990s, and there was an actor by the name of Jim Carrey, who many of you may know, but he produced many of the popular comedies of the mid and late 90s and even on and beyond, and had a outstanding career in movies and cinema and in the realm of comedy. But Jim Carrey plays the character of, along with Jeff Daniels, and the film begins with Lloyd Christmas. What a name, right? Lloyd Christmas and Harry Dunn. They were Lloyd was a limousine driver, right? And he falls in love with beautiful Mary Swanson. And in the story of Dumb and Dumber, which if you like Dumb and Dumber, you can leave a message below. And if that's not one of your favorite movies, that's fine. You can comment what your favorite movie is. But from a comedy standpoint, in Dumb and Dumber, Lloyd and Harry go on their adventure to find Mary and return to her a briefcase that belongs to her. And as Lloyd pursues the love of Mary Swanson, he basically questions her and asks her if there is a chance that they could possibly fall in love. And Mary replies respectfully and kindly to him that basically he's got 1 in a million chance. And Lloyd leans in and looks very excited and to hear that he's got a chance with Mary. And he says, quote, "So you're telling me there's a chance." And one of the books that I released recently, "So You're Telling Me There's a Chance," we tell this story. The book opens with this, and one of the lines that I wrote in this book was, Lloyd was excited that he had a 1 in a million chance. Now, we know, if you've seen the movie, that he didn't have a chance with her. She was out of his league, as we like to say. But I transition in the book and I say, just give me a chance. And I like the attitude and the mindset that Lloyd had, as he was definitely an over-believer. He did not know his limitations, and that made him a great character in the movie Dumb and Dumber. But it also, there's something there, at least for me, that I bridged in the book. So You're Telling Me There's a Chance. Is like, there's something that makes individuals who have belief in the midst of, like, hey, you really shouldn't go for. I mean, what if I would have given up pursuing my wife of almost 3 decades when I felt rejected early on? And many times, I mean, in life, what I found is you have to go after the things you want. And that's kind of an underlining message of the book that I wrote. So You're Telling Me There's a Chance is this right here. I highlight it here in the book. I say, I believe all we can ask for in life is a chance. Just give me a chance. I'll take the odds. Don't tell me we can't succeed. We will create opportunities for success. Don't tell me it can't be done. We will make it happen. Don't tell me we can't win. We will find a way. Whether it's 1 in 10, 1 in 100, or 1 in a million, never tell me the odds. And so, I say this in the book. I'm talking about having a chance to do something significant. So my name's Stephen Greek. I'm a coach, a speaker, an author, and part of what we do here is we want to build champions. We want to do this in the arena of leadership. And leadership can be, I believe, it can be taught, but I believe more than that, leadership is caught. If we want to become better leaders, we need to get around better leaders. And when I'm talking about leadership, I'm talking about just look in the mirror and ask, to identify what arena you are in. Are you in coaching? Like I'm in coaching, so I'm around a lot of athletes and a lot of coaches, and I'm in sport. But also, I love music, so I'm around a lot of high-level musicians. My wife and I were visiting Nashville, Tennessee, and it's been a wonderful trip. And we've gone to some of the monuments and some of the museums. Today we saw beautiful artwork, hundreds of years old, that are worth tens of thousands of dollars, and even some. I was looking on artificial intelligence, and it identified that some of the paintings we were looking at could be valued at $250,000 to $500,000, and they were donated to the city of Nashville. And it was amazing to walk through this exhibit and see these artists and their attention to detail and the amount of pride and excellence they took in every stroke of the brush, and the paint and the detail was so lifelike and realistic. And you could read the bio next to these artists, and you saw that a lot of them had to do a day job, but what they were passionate about, they had to do after hours or on the weekends or a side project. And many of them did not get paid or earn what they were worth as they were building and developing these works of art. And so, again, I'm talking about leadership. So if whatever arena you're in, whether it's art or music or athletics or coaching or teaching, or you own a business, I think that a big part of leadership is waking up every day and striving to become the best version of yourself so that you can maximize not only your gifts and talents, but you bring the kind of energy and create the kind of environment where others around you elevate their game, and it creates an atmosphere of excellence, whatever room you walk into. So again, when we're talking about the movie Dumb and Dumber, Lloyd and Harry go on their adventure to find Mary Swanson and return her briefcase. Lloyd wanted to pursue Mary and fall in love. He had already fallen in love with her, but he wanted her to fall in love with him. And when he asked her, he said, "So you're telling me there's a chance, right? 1 in a million, that's all I need." And I transitioned to an Olympian who defied the odds, Wilma Rudolph, in 1940. She was born into poverty in Tennessee, and she was the 20th of 22 children in a working class African-American family. She was stricken by polio at age 4, and she lost strength in her left leg, and she was told she would never walk again without braces. Quote, "My doctor told me I would never walk again. My mother told me I would. I believed my mother." There's something so powerful, again, in choosing where we get our information, choosing our mindset, choosing our level of belief. Who are we going to believe? Whose word are we going to believe and say, even though the doctor said I won't ever walk again without a brace, my mother said I would, I choose to believe my mother. You say, well, what's so significant about her? Fast forward, without going through all the details that I cover, many of them in my book, she goes on to become, at the age of 20, standing 5'11", weighing 130 pounds. Her preparation over the years met the opportunity at the 1960 Olympics in Rome. She went on to compete in the 100-meter dash, the 200-meter dash, and the 4x1 meter relay, the 4x100. She won the 100-meter dash in 11 seconds. At the time, it matched the world record time. It was not officially recognized due to a tailwind condition exceeding the allowable limit at the time. But she took the 200-meter dash in 24 seconds. She anchored the 4x100-meter relay team to victory in 44.5 seconds, earning 3 gold medals. Now just pause there for a second. And I go over this. You're telling me there's a chance. Everyone else said that she would not walk again without braces. Polio had taken her full mobility of her left leg. The doctor said she wouldn't walk again, but her mother said she would. And in quotations, she said, I believed my mother. In leadership, you face a lot of adversity. We may be many times on streaming like this. There are grandparents that are on here. There are parents. There are business owners. There are teenagers. There are student athletes. And so much of social media, so much of what we hear can discourage us, can beat us up, right? And if we hear too many external voices of negativity, that's why it's so important to know, where are we getting our information, our eyes and our ears, and what are we absorbing and choosing to believe, not only in our mind, but our heart. Because I believe that ideas and belief systems, they go through the gates of our eyes and our ears, and they go to our head, our mind. We dwell upon these things, and then they trickle down into our heart and become a part of our identity, right? And then who we choose to believe, it goes from our head to our heart to our hands. I'm going to say that again because I think that's important in leadership, but just in life, not in leadership. Like if you're leading a family, you're a mama out there, you've got little ones, they're running around, you're working a day job, you're trying to keep the house and pay the bills and all those things, or you're a CEO and an executive and you're responsible for hundreds of people and their livelihood, and you gotta reach the bottom line. But the negative reports are coming in. What are we going to believe? Now, I'm not talking about blind optimism. That's out there, and that's definitely a real thing. Okay? I think we got to have a mixture of truth, okay, and grace and wisdom and strength. And yes, we've got to look at the data. But again, according to Wilma Rudolph, her family doctor told her that she would never walk again. And her mom said she would. And so they started that action plan of putting in the work, learning how to walk, learning how to stumble, learning how to eventually jog. And was there a limp at first? I suppose there was. Was there discouraging times where she just maybe cried herself to sleep at night, didn't think, even though in her heart of hearts she wanted to believe that it would happen? She wanted to believe her mother, but then what she's seeing and experiencing, it's just not happening yet, Mom. I don't know why it's not happening yet. But somewhere in her heart, she chose to take the information from her head to her heart to her hands and her legs. And she started running. And she kept running. And she kept running until she represented the United States and brought home three gold medals. Let's go. So you're telling me there's a chance? All we can ask for in life is a chance. Give me a chance. I got something to prove to myself. I got something to prove to those who have gone before me. I've got something to prove to those who are depending on me. I think it's excitingly dangerous when people start to hear the right information, absorb the right information, believe the right information, and start to live out the right information. You know, when I was a kid, I remember a classroom, they had a big sign, it was probably around third or fourth grade. They had this big sign in our classroom that said, knowledge is power. And our teachers talked about that and what that meant. And as a kid, I didn't understand what that meant. I don't know, in junior high or high school, I completely understood what that meant. And frankly, as an adult, you always learn and relearn the most important lessons. But is knowledge power? I mean, if we know all the things we ought to do but don't do them, is that power? Let me know what you think. I believe that knowledge applied starts to become power. We can have the head knowledge. We got to get it down here in our heart, and then from here to here, it's got to start. We got to start putting feet to our belief system, or as people say, put feet to your faith. Don't tell me right now I'm sitting in a chair. I could say, man, I believe all these chairs. Now, some of these chairs may have a loose screw or a leg that's wobbly, may not be able to hold me up. I go, oh yeah, they're all good. They're ready to go. And then I sit in them and one of them collapses. Okay, I can say I believe that the chairs will hold me up, but until I sit in them, I don't trust it. And so when it comes to leadership, when it comes to putting faith in action, when it comes to putting our beliefs in action, it's all theory till we go and do it. And so never tell me the odds. Never tell me the odds. Just give me a chance. I think leaders want that challenge. They definitely want to be able to put action behind their beliefs. And so when I was a kid, one of my favorite movies was Star Wars. Star Wars. Episode 4 was the first one that came out. For those of you that don't like science fiction movies, I apologize. For just a minute, let me tell you a little story about one of my favorite characters, Han Solo. Who's your favorite Star Wars character? If you've seen those movies, comment below and let us know who you think the best Star Wars character was. But Han Solo, in the original Star Wars movie, there was a scene when some of the main characters were flying through their spaceship and were about to enter a dangerous territory. As they attempted flying their ship through an asteroid field, the danger of doing so was the probable destruction of their spacecraft, and if not, the death of all those on board. The rule-following robot droid C-3PO, another character, C-3PO, the golden robot, urgently tells the pilot, Han Solo, the statistics and the odds of making it through the asteroid field alive. So again, they're flying through their spaceship, they're dodging all of the asteroids, and the odds of survival, according to the robot droid, who was highly intelligent, C-3PO, says, sir, the possibility of successfully navigating an asteroid field is approximately 3,720 to 1. As the tension mounts during this dramatic scene of the movie, the Playboy pilot, Han Solo, confidently responds, quote, never tell me the odds, exclamation point, end quote. Never tell me the odds. Was he cocky? Was Han Solo confident or cocky or a little of both? I don't know. But he didn't want to hear in that moment of tension, in that moment in the movie. And we know it's fiction. We know it's fake. But boy, what an adventure. In that moment, you're wanting to pull data, you're wanting to pull out spreadsheets and tell me all the reasons why we can't get this done. And I'm here to tell you as a leader why we can get this done. Han Solo said, never tell me the odds. And so for most of us in life, we want to know the odds. I mean, if truth be told, I want to know the odds. I mean, we want to know if we can do it. Can we get this done? We want to know if we're enough. I mean, do I have it inside of me to take on this task, to build and strengthen this relationship? Is it too far gone? Can we climb out of this hole? We want to know if we're capable. Now, a lot of people, because of social media, they say, social media is everyone's highlight reel, right? So what people put out there and produce, all right, is most of the time their better moments in life. Now, there are some people that get on and they share their heart about their struggles, and I believe transparency is good most of the time. I also think that sometimes people love attention, and again, if that's you, I'm not calling anyone out, but I do believe that sometimes people love the drama. Do you know anyone like that? Like they get on there and they just TMI, maybe too much information, but they love all the comments and they love that attention. And one of my mentors said this many years ago, 20, 25 years ago. He said, bad attention is better than no attention at all. And working in as a high school football coach, I work with young people. We try to build up young people, help young men and young women become more. build the habits, the commitment, the discipline, the things necessary to be successful. Yes, on a sports team, yes, in the classroom, but more importantly, in life. And so much of that is a process. It's not like instant oatmeal. You don't just get to add water. You're talking about doing the daily work, getting in the mud with them, getting dirty, and helping them understand why we're asking them to do certain things a certain way. But social media, many times, it's a confusing world to live in. My wife and I, we have 3 sons. 2 of them are older. One just graduated with his master's in college. The other one is right in the middle of college. And then our youngest will be heading off to college. And we went through the whole parenting years with, when they're younger, and then they're innocent, and then the preteen years, and then the early teenage years, and then the later teenage years. And there's a lot of work and conversations that we wanted to have because we knew that they were navigating the waters of that can be very confusing for young people, and honestly confusing for parents and adults and grandparents. What do we do with social media? It's kind of like the wild, wild west. Again, people can get on and just share everything. And some people love to sit behind social media and judge. They want to judge and make comments and troll. The troll, the person that's hiding behind the keyboard and wants to criticize and badmouth everyone and everything and judge, and they think they know somebody's heart. They think they know the story, but is there a chance that maybe they don't have all the information? That's really out there. And there are people that are extremely, again, I'm in the world of working with teenagers. Teenagers have the social media, the Snapchat, Instagram, all the platforms, TikTok, all the different platforms that young people are on, and they can sometimes say very mean, ugly things to each other that they probably would not usually say to their face because they're hiding behind a keyboard. But you know what? We say, oh yeah, teenagers do that all the time. Man, adults, did the adults ever get parented? Did the adults ever learn how to act, behave, conduct themselves, etiquette? I don't know. And again, sharing my thoughts because I work with people and I want to build people up. And I have walked alongside many young people. I've walked alongside many of their parents. I've walked alongside and inside the arena of athletics and outside. And it's always amazing to see the impact that peer pressure, friend groups can have on a young person, but also on adults. And so what we're talking about is leadership. If you just jumped on, what we're talking about is defying the odds, even if the odds are 1 in a million, believing, having the right kind of information, the right kind of belief, the right kind of transformation that can come from believing the right message. And so, we looked at, if you just jumped on, we looked at the movie Dumb and Dumber, Jim Carrey, Lloyd Christmas, right? He is pursuing a relationship with Mary. He believes he has a chance. Mary, not so much, but when he asks her, do we have a chance? And she says kind of like 1 in a million. So he gets excited because 1 in a million, I still have potentially a lottery pick, right? And then we looked at Star Wars and Han Solo and moving through the asteroid field, and C-3PO says the odds are 3,720 to 1. And Han Solo says, never tell me the odds. We're human. Some of us are wired. Some of us are wired to take risks. Some of us lean toward playing it safe. Is it because we fear failure? Is it because we're not certain we can get it done? Whatever the reason, sometimes we have a hard time betting on ourselves. I would argue that betting on yourself is far better than living a life filled with regret. Some people live until the age of 70, 75, 80, but somewhere along the way, they died on the inside around the age of 25 or 30 because they stopped. They stopped believing. They stopped having the faith, having the information, the transformation, and the relationships that we need to get up every day and feel like, and know, not just feel, but know that, you know what? I have a purpose on my life. I was designed with a purpose, on purpose, for a purpose. And now every day, no matter what obstacles I face, no matter what adversity I walk through, I've got a purpose and a destiny. I've got to go live that out. And I'm going to have to go through some good times, and I'm thankful for the good times. I may have to go through some tough times and wipe a lot of tears. I may have to go through some valleys to get to those mountains. But man, when you believe, when you have the right information, again, just like I said in the classroom when I was in fourth grade, and it said knowledge is power. That's great. Knowledge can be powerful, good and bad. Knowledge applied, though, where I start to live that out, that's where the power lies. So you're telling me there's a chance? Never tell me the odds. Let's see what we can do. But maybe you know someone that has lived a life where they have some regrets, right? So what are some of have you ever heard any regrets like this? I should have followed my passion instead of settling for a job. I should have taken the course to further my education. I should have started my own business when I had a chance. I should have traveled to the places I dreamed of visiting. I should have learned a new language. I should have invested in my health and fitness. I should have taken more risks in my career. I should have asked for that promotion I wanted. I should have pursued a creative hobby I love. I should have networked more and built professional connections. I should have shared my ideas with others. I should have attended that conference I was interested in. I should have volunteered for causes. I could keep going. I should have. Do you ever feel that way? I mean, I think on some level, many of us, I don't want to speak for you, but many of us have regrets, right? But we can't live in the past. We can't live a life filled with regret. We can acknowledge and say, you know what? If I could go back, maybe I would have made a different decision. I mean, I would have invested in Google. I share this story with my sons back in about 1999, early, like year 2000. I had just started my coaching career. And our school librarian had come back from a conference in San Francisco and Silicon Valley. And she came back. She was an elderly lady, kind of on the verge of ready to retire, but she was a sweet librarian, and she loved to encourage the younger teachers. And I was brand new to the profession. And she came back, and this was before you had the iPhones and the apps and the stuff where you could get on the stock market and invest in stuff so easily. She said, there's this new company coming out. I think you should invest in some stock. She said, it's called Google. And I just remember all the younger teachers laughing at the name Google. If I would have just listened to that sweet librarian and invested, that's a regret. I wish I could go back and have invested in Google or, some of the digital currency or maybe the Apple or the iPhone, those sorts of things. Like, sure. Like, I don't want to live in regret, and I don't want to live in hypotheticals, right? So what do we do with should have done this? Should have done that. It's kind of like the Monday morning quarterback. In my profession as a coach, many times you hear the chirping in the stands, or even it's like, well, no, duh. I mean, if I could watch the film in slow motion like you did, all right, but you got to make decisions in real time when the chaos is happening. And, I've had before in the middle of games, kids get injured, they get sick, their girlfriend broke up with them the night before the big game. All those things. And people, in a perfect world, but you know what? In the arena of competitive sports, it's not NCAA college football, and it's not Madden, it's not a video game. You're dealing with the human element, Just like maybe some of you that are business owners, like you're dealing with the human element. What motivates your people, your team? What helps them to become and pursue being, chasing greatness, chasing excellence? They just show up, clock in, clock out. Like, I don't, that's why I believe in leadership training. That's why I believe coaching matters in the arena of sports. I believe coaching and investment, personal coaching matters, mentorship. And again, leadership can be taught. I believe there are leadership principles that you can teach and repeat and memorize and learn, but more than leadership being taught, I believe leadership is caught. You have to catch it, and who you catch it from matters. And so there are times in everyone's life where we must rise up and boldly declare, never tell me the odds, I'm doing this. Just like Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance. Just like Han Solo in Star Wars, don't ever tell me the odds. And just like Wilma Rudolph, whose doctors told her she would not walk without a brace, but her mom said she would, so she chose to believe her sweet mom. So who we choose to believe and the thoughts that we put into our head and our heart absolutely matter. They absolutely matter. Good luck is when opportunity meets preparation, while bad luck is when lack of preparation meets reality. In coaching, tell you a quick story, over the years, we've been in some great battles, right? On the gridiron, Friday night football, Texas high school football, stadiums are packed, right? Televised games, state championships, all those things. And a kid sometimes will come over and they're frustrated about how the game is going, or maybe they fumbled the ball or they missed a tackle, and they come over and they'll take their helmet off and they'll throw a little temper tantrum, right? Some of them they want to throw their helmet or kick all those things. They have having a moment, right? A little temper tantrum. And sometimes, you have to pull them aside and put your arm around and say, hey, number one, we don't act like that. Number two, no drama. What's the drama? So what now? What? How are we going? We're reacting in that moment. We're reacting emotionally. We're not responding like a champion responds. So we have to redirect our energy, just like, again, whether you're a business owner, whether you're a husband, a wife, a parent, whether you're a teenager, when things don't go our way, who are we in that moment? And so it's not about reacting, it's about responding the right way. In the weight room, sometimes we do tests, right? In Texas, we have a strength program, and many high schools and colleges have, and obviously the professional athletes have these. But when we put them on a 6 or 8 week training cycle, right? At the end of that cycle, we usually will test them to see how strong they've gotten. And sometimes kids will get under the bench press or under the squat rack, and they see their buddy do a certain amount of weight. And they're like, well, back in the summer, I was stronger than him or her or whatever. And then they want to put on the same amount of weight as that their buddy did. And then they can't lift it. And if you look at the data and you see, okay, the kid that got that weight up, they didn't miss not one practice. They didn't miss one workout. They were getting plenty of sleep. They were eating. They were putting the right nutrition in their body. This kid over here that just had the little temper tantrum, yeah, he was sporadic. She was there 1 day a week, missed 2 or 3 times a week. And then they want to have a little temper tantrum and get mad. And that's, to me, what that quote is saying is, good luck is when opportunity meets preparation. Did you prepare? Did you put in the work that is required to get that result? And if you didn't put in the work and the preparation, honestly, this may sound harsh, but you have no right to act mad. You didn't do the work. You just didn't get it done. And bad luck is when lack of preparation meets reality. And that's the truth. It's the reality is you didn't do what needed to get done to get the results that you say you wanted. So now what do we do in that moment? We got to look back. Okay, I can have a regret. I can regret that I didn't put in the work. So what now? What now? I need to go. Now I need to take action and do the things and build the habits and have the commitment that I need to have so that I can have the desired outcome. That applies in athletics and weight training and building a team, but it also applies in your marriage. It applies if you're a teenager in your relationships with your parents. And if you're a parent, it applies in your relationship with your kids. And if you're a boss and a CEO, or if you're in ministry, investing, right? Investing in people, doing the things that we need to do. Spectacular achievement is always preceded by unspectacular preparation. You know, in the sporting world, we say you're going to do the work. You're going to put the work in and do the work when the bleachers are empty and the lights are off and nobody's out there cheering you on. There's no cheerleaders. There's no band. There's no media out there. It's just an empty stadium. That's where games are won and programs are built and belief starts to take place, is because you're building toward the chance and the opportunity when it comes. Do we grow impatient when life does not go the way we want it to go? Do we get frustrated when things don't happen fast enough in our career? Do we blow a gasket and lose our cool in our relationships? Do we become emotionally unstable when we don't get our way? Do we throw in the towel and lose it on the team? Champion leaders understand things of value take time and investment to build the right way. So if you just tuned in, my name is Stephen Greek. I'm a 4-time state champion football coach in the state of Texas. And what I feel called to do is to inspire, impact, influence, and ignite the champion inside of all of us, inside of each person. And so follow us on all of the social media. We're everywhere, our website, and let us know what you think. If you feel like what we're talking about will make a difference not only in your life, but in someone you know, please like, share, follow, repost. We appreciate that. We're just now starting out to try to get this message out there. And I'm a speaker, I'm an author, I'm a coach, I'm an entrepreneur, and I love investing and pouring into people. So reach out to us and let us know how we can add value to you. If you have any comments or questions, please just let us know some of the topics you'd like us to cover. But I'm going through one of the books. I had a book launch about a month ago, and I've since then released 2 other books. So we've got 3 books out with more to come on what we're calling the Building Champions series. And I think part of what we're doing to try to build and invest in people. So you're telling me there's a chance? All we can ask for in life is a chance, an opportunity. What we do with that opportunity will determine like whether we put in the work or not. But like, you're telling me that there's a chance, go for it. You're telling me there's a chance, jump in. You're telling me there's a chance, attack it. You're telling me there's a chance, seize the day. You're telling me there's a chance, I've got this. You're telling me there's a chance, I'm all in. A lot of people, and again, we were talking about social media earlier and just all the trolls and the critics and the haters, they're everywhere. They think they know, but they don't know. So let them do what they do. They get all tingly. They get a rush out of criticizing and putting other people down. And they're the peanut gallery, man. They're up there in the bleachers. They have all the answers. They have all the answers, but no skin in the game, no investment. They've got they're the Monday morning quarterback. They think they know what should have been done or needs to be done, or they think they know your story. Do you have any of those people in your life? Comment below and let us know how you handle the haters. Do you ignore them? Does that work for you? Do you block them? Do you give them a piece of your mind? We choose as leaders, as champion leaders, we choose to drown out the noise and rise above all that. That's what we believe not only works, but it keeps you strong on the inside, because we only have so much energy, just like a cell phone during the day. We only have so much energy. And if I turn and give my energy to the haters, now I'm not giving my energy to the people that I need to pour into, that really want. They're really craving and starving for the information and the transformation. And that's who we want to spend our time with. Something else in chapter 2 we cover is atomic habits. The power and the secret to changing our life lies in our habits, our dedication, and our preparation, our process, routines, our thoughts, our intentional approach, our faith, our belief, our actions. This is our way of life. These are not just normal habits. These are atomic habits. Let's look at these habits in more detail. And this chapter is really based on the book Atomic Habits by the author and leadership expert James Clear. If you haven't gotten this book, I highly recommend it. Sean Covey, another leadership expert, said this: depending on what they are, our habits will either make us or break us. We become what we repeatedly do. Many years ago, early in our marriage, my wife and I, on the weekends, we were sleeping in. We were in our 20s. We were young. We thought we were so busy and so tired. This was before kids. I think we had a little poodle, and we thought, oh, our lives are so busy. It's so stressful. And like, little did we know, right? But I remember we'd sleep in on the weekends and stay up late and sleep late. Not that there's anything wrong with that every now and then, but like our habits, even though we had both been, top 10% in high school academically, even though we had played multiple sports and had been team captains, all this kind of got a little bit, I was a college athlete, and still, we just kind of got a little bit sloppy in our habits. I remember we both kind of heard someone talk about building the habit of just making your bed. Now, look, if you're listening in and you don't make your bed, I'm not hating on you. I'm just telling you something that worked for us. We started making our bed every morning and just built that habit. Even if we were staying in the house, even if we weren't going anywhere, we just started building little habits. And so that won't, some people say just the habit of making your bed will change your life, because if you start to pay attention to the little details, you start to realize the little habits in our life, whatever they are, and so if you've got some good habits, share below, let us know what your good habits are. But according to these quotes and these leadership experts, our habits, dedication, and preparation, that's the secret to success. And I go into, in the book, some of the psychology and some of the tests about and why, the science behind why they believe this to be true. A lot of the data, what the data says. But I like, when I'm on here doing these streams, I like to share a lot of the leadership quotes. So General George Patton, war hero, said, accept the challenges so that you can feel the exhilaration of victory. Our habits, again, as a high school football coach, when we go into a game, you rise to the level of your training and your preparation. And so if you've prepared down here, and I know in the military they say, you actually sink to the level of your training. However you want to view that, you rise to the level of your training, or you sink to the level of your training. However you choose to, whatever lens you choose to look at that through. The bottom line is, whether you're rising or sinking, the common denominator is, where are your habits and your training and your preparation? And I'm talking about as an athlete, I'm talking about as a CEO, as a business owner, I'm talking about as a husband, a wife, a teenager, a parent, whatever it is that you do, where are our habits? And some of us maybe don't like this message. I know the 20-year-old version of me, possibly even the 30-year-old version of me, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed this leadership conversation because it was uncomfortable. It was probably calling me out on some areas that I wasn't of the maturity level or the awareness, self-awareness level yet, that I need to look in the mirror and say, hey, there's a few things that I need to address in my life. So for example, in my early 30s, I am a former college athlete and I had a health scare. I had some things, the doctor told me, the data, the blood work, all those things said, hey, you need to get some of these things in order. And at that time, it took that for me to finally listen. I wasn't, as a former college athlete, I really wasn't, I was casually working out. I wouldn't say it was a habit. I was playing some pickup basketball, some half court church league stuff, maybe. I might lift a little weights or go out and jog or walk with my wife every now and then, but I wouldn't say they were champion level habits. And I'm so thankful that over the last few years that my wife and I, we regularly exercise. We walk, we sometimes jog or run. We regularly lift weights. I feel better when I do it. And for me, those were some habits that I needed to implement in my life so that I could be a better version of myself. And so for you, what are some habits in 2026? Do you have any habits? Comment below and let us know what habits and goals maybe you've made, or maybe you started them in 2025 and you just want to ramp them up. But our habits, our commitment, our preparation matters. And so along the lines of that quote from General Patton, it's the challenges that we face in life are just a hurdle, an obstacle that we got to go through to become a better version of ourselves. Because once we conquer those things, we actually get to feel the exhilaration, the excitement of having some victory in our life, having some self-discipline. How about this quote? Our greatest glory is not in never failing, but in rising up every time we fail. Ralph Waldo Emerson. So we all fail at something. Fail forward. Use that as a learning experience to become a better version of yourself. Practice does not make perfect. Only perfect practice makes perfect. The great Vince Lombardi, that the Super Bowl trophy was named after, from the Green Bay Packers, Vince Lombardi, he would push on people a little bit. He said, practice doesn't make perfect. Well, practice makes perfect. No, it doesn't. You know what? Practice makes perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. So having high expectations of ourselves first, live that out. That's the challenge. How can I live that out in my business? How can I live that out in my marriage? How can I live that out as a parent? How can I live that out as a teenager? How can I live that out as a team captain? How can I live that out as someone who is an assistant and I'm being mentored? How can I absorb the knowledge and become who I need to become so that I can lead the way I need to lead? We're building champions. That's what we do. And so focus on what lights a fire inside of you and use that passion to fill a white space. Don't be afraid of the challenges, the missteps, the setbacks along the way. What matters is that you keep going. You know who said that? Kendra Scott. Any of the ladies, maybe we might have some lady. I know we got a lot of coaches listening in, but any ladies like that Kendra Scott jewelry? And for all the coaches or the men that might be, or we may have some young people out here hey, your mom, she probably is going to like the Kendra Scott jewelry. And so Kendra Scott, so much wisdom from this entrepreneur, this jewelry. And so Kendra Scott, so much wisdom from this entrepreneur, this from nothing into something that's global. Focus on what lights a fire inside of you. Use that passion and fill a white space. What does that mean? To me, when I read that, it's look around you. Not only look at your own calendar, but look around you. Where are there gaps or spaces? And you know that you've got a passion where you could add a ton of value to that space. According to Kendra Scott, she says, don't be afraid of the challenge, of the missteps or the mistakes. and the setbacks along the way. What matters is that you keep going. So many of us, I'm speaking for myself, I don't want to speak for you, but so many of us, we're just afraid to fail. We're afraid to fail because we don't know if we can get it done. Or we're afraid to fail because in that moment where we fail, maybe we miss the mark and we're afraid of the criticism that might come. And I don't know about you, but have you ever noticed that sometimes people, okay, people who cheer the loudest for you are strangers. The people that know you, sometimes even maybe related to you, there's crickets when you try something new or something that's a little bit scary or something that's dangerous. Well, I don't know. They're just going to cross their arms. I'm not sure. I don't know what Johnny or Susie's doing. They're just over there trying stuff. You would think that those who know you, who love you, care about you, maybe even people that you've invested in, people that you spent many hours, you've loved them, you've encouraged them in some of the toughest moments. Fast forward a few months or a few years down the road, it's almost like they forgot. They check in every now and then, but they don't ever give you a thumbs up or a way to go or a that a boy or go get 'em girl or fire emoji or whatever. Just crickets. Do you find that? I found that so interesting in what we do when you try to pour into others. Somebody can post a social media rant and they can just, pardon the expression, but they can like TMI, right? They can just all over, just like they rant and rave, and it's like, oh my gosh. And they'll get 78 comments, right? Oh yeah, just people love to just swim around in the mud, right? With you. Yeah. But then you post something positive and you'll have like 4 likes. One of them's from your mom, one of them's from your grandma, one of them's maybe from, a friend from school, and then like one stranger. It's like, wait, here we are trying to make a difference in people's lives, trying to do it the right way, a positive way, an inspirational way, do it in such a way that can change lives for generations to come. And you're going to get 4 likes, 4 heart emojis. And yet people will get on and they'll just rant and rave and politics and negativity and criticism. And they just want to just complain about their sports team or complain about, and people just jump on that like crazy. Well, I choose something different. I might have 1 in a million chance, but I choose 1 in a million to try to make a difference in one person's life. I don't know why that is, but that's what I feel wired and called to do. And so again, whether it's speaking, whether it's coaching, whether it's through my books, whether it's through a conversation or something, a DM on social media, if you like the content and you feel like this is, man, you know what, this is good, click that little bell up there and follow. And anytime we're on, we want to make a difference in people's lives. That's what we do. We build champions. And again, I'm a Texas high school football 4-time state champion coach in football. And as an athletic administrator, I've been part of probably well over about 35 state championships in a lot of different sports. But I love music. I love the arts. I love band and choir. And my wife and I, years ago, for our 15th anniversary, we visited New York City. We went to several Broadway shows and love it all, right? We love the human experience. We love to see people thrive and walk out their gifts and their talents. But our gifts and our talents are not so that we can get the spotlight and we can get the glory. Our gifts and talents are to be used so that we can make a difference in people's lives. And I say even give glory to God in heaven who gave us those gifts. Another quote, discipline is my weapon. That was said by Eliud Kipchoge. And I don't know if I'm saying that name right, but in 1984, he was born in a rural village in Kenya. And he became a world-class runner. And his quote was, only the disciplined ones in life are free. And so, just a moment. I'm sorry, I'm on live and it's trying to verify pieces of the puzzle. Okay. Hopefully, okay, I'm still on. Wow, I've never had that happen, but it wanted me to verify that I was still on live. So discipline is my weapon, and only the disciplined ones in life are free. It's hard to believe because, again, in the world of coaching, when you discipline and teach a young person that when they run sprints, they need to touch the line with their hand or their foot, whatever the coaching cue is. Did any of you ever play sports and have a coach that was really, really tough on you, or a band director that was very, very demanding? And at the time, at the moment when you were walking through that and experiencing that, it may have felt like, man, they're just so tough. Like, I don't like this. But then you came to understand that the benefits of that discipline brought the freedom and the confidence that you were going to need to have in whatever activity or endeavors you were participating in. If you are undisciplined, you are a slave to your moods and your passions. So we need to pursue discipline. You know, back to the chapter 2 in this book. So you're telling me there's a chance. Our atomic habits prepare us for defining moments in our life, defining moments that change our normal: people, purpose, promotions, power, peace, persuasion, performance. The outsiders, the people looking out there, they think it's just luck. The critics think it's just random. The champion knows when it's their time to shine. It is built upon the atomic habits, one small decision and action at a time. And if that time has not yet come for you, stay steady. Champions patiently believe their time is coming because the atomic habits are working in their favor. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe in a week or a month or a year, maybe a decade, maybe down the road. But champions just keep getting ready. And when that opportunity presents itself, we're going to perform. Don't ever tell me the odds, as Han Solo said to C-3PO. And just like Jim Carrey said when Mary told him, you got 1 in a million chance. He said, so you're telling me there's a chance. I've got the opportunity. The odds may not be in my favor, but there is an opportunity. Everything negative, pressure, challenges, it's all an opportunity for me to rise. Kobe Bryant said that. Simone Biles, born in Columbus, Ohio, faced a challenging start in life. She was placed in foster care at the age of 3 due to her mother's struggles with addiction. She began tumbling in gymnastics at the age of 6. She said, I was jumping around having fun and I fell in love with gymnastics. I fell in love with it. She developed these small, consistent habits, and Biles transformed early challenges into a legacy as the most decorated gymnast in history. She would later go on she said, I wasn't always the best at first. I had to work for it, she admitted to the New York Times in 2016. She was raw, but she had power, and they questioned her consistency. Some were saying that she wasn't ready for elite competition, but she stacked good habits, right? 35-hour training weeks, early mornings, late nights, tracking progress through journals, celebrating small victories, like perfecting a vault. You have to love the grind, she said. She told Sports Illustrated that. She had atomic habits in her life, and that would culminate at the 2016 Rio Olympics. At the age of 19, she entered as a favorite, backed by a decade of training and 4 consecutive U.S. national titles. She competed in the all-around vault, floor exercise, balance beam, and team events, and she won 4 gold medals and a bronze. And one of her signature moves, the quote, Biles, a double layout with a half twist, debuted internationally in 2013 and set a new standard in floor routines. So Her 61.45 all-around score rewrote gymnastics history, making her the first American woman to win 4 golds in a single Olympics. Quote, "I don't think about failing. I just do the work," end quote. She also said this, "I don't really think about the degree of difficulty or the possibility of making a mistake. I just try to relax and let my preparation and training take over." Simone Biles. You know, talkers will not be ready when their moment comes. We already talked about this. Champions have atomic habits that bring about magical moments. Make the most of it. I think people really underestimate the power of just wanting to do it and hard work and a competitive spirit and preparation. Joe Burrow, quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. So we got on here today just to encourage all of you out there. So if you like the content, please like it, heart, follow, share, repost, all those things. But, you know, this is from one of the books that I just released called So You're Telling Me There's a Chance. And we want to encourage you to just go to our website, follow us on all the socials, and just know, you know, in this book coming up, we start to look at some of the champions from the hit show American Idol. There are champions everywhere around us. You're a champion. Wake up every day, give your best, your heart, your mind, your soul. You were created on purpose for a purpose. Now go live out that purpose every day. Once again, I'm Stephen Greek. Appreciate you coming on and have a wonderful evening. God bless.